Hey, welcome. Today we're looking at simple and compound interest. Simple interest isn't really something that happens a lot in real life, but the idea is that simple interest doesn't change. You get the same amount every year. So interest is something you think about when you get a loan, or if you're putting money in a bank or you're investing money, because then you can earn money by just leaving it in the bank. So the way banks make money technically is that they have your money in the bank. They can use that money to loan to people. So when people get a loan, like say you want to buy a car, you want to buy a house, they charge you interest for the length of your loan. So usually if you buy a car, it's like 60 months. It's like 5 years of payments that you're going to pay at a certain percent, depending on what the rate is and depending on how good your credit is. So they're making money off your car loan because they're taking a risk in you having the loan, and you pay a little bit more, well, sometimes a lot more than the sticker price of the car, because you're paying it off for 5 years. Because let's be honest, most of us don't have like 20 something grand on us to put down on a car. So they're letting you have the car, but because they're letting you pay it off over 5 years, they're taking some part of that back. So they're earning money that way. And the other side of that is, because they need people to put their money in the bank, they give those people also interest, but at a way lower rate. So they might be giving you under 1% if you put your money in the bank. While if you're taking a loan, they might be charging you like 3 or 4% or higher, depending on what your credit is. So that's how banks make money. There's also different ways to earn higher interest. You guys can invest in like CDs. You can invest in stocks and bonds, even though those are a little bit more volatile. But one huge hint that I got when I started working is to start investing in your retirement early. Because if you do notice, I'm just going to draw it in here, the exponential curve looks like this, right? So if you start investing here early, when you're 18 years old, you'll eventually hit this huge growth rate up here before it's time to retire. If you start investing later, right, say you're like 30 when you start investing, when it's time to retire, you might not even hit that rate yet, right? You might just still be seeing small amounts of interest growth. Whereas if you can start investing earlier, you're going to hit that huge growth sooner. So you can retire earlier, you can retire with way more money. So something for you guys to look into once you start your careers. All right, so let's get back to the simple interest stuff. The amount doesn't change. You get the same amount every time. So like if you invest $200, let's say if we calculate your interest, you make $4 every year. Year 2, you're still going to make $4 more. Year 3, you're still going to make $4 more. It's just adding on $4 every year. Now, compound interest is different. So compound interest changes. It calculates each time with the previous amount. So like, let's say you made $4 the first year. Okay, so it's going to add that $4 and recalculate the amount. So you're going to get a little bit more the next year. And then it's going to take that amount and apply it to the interest for next year. So each time we're building on a little bit bigger stack of money. So compound interest is always going to be bigger growth than simple interest. We kind of talked about this earlier. So it might look like this form: y equals y sub 0. And then we're going to have in parentheses 1 plus r, which is your rate, divided by n, which is the number of times it's compounded per year, and then to the nt. All right, so let's apply this stuff. And the first one is a little bit difficult, but it kind of shows us the difference between simple interest and compound interest. Actually, it's the second one. We'll get there eventually. All right, so the first one, we're looking at $8,500 at 4% compounded yearly. So this is very important. So yearly means that we're going to have it compounded one time a year. So our n is going to be equal to 1. So the first thing it's asking us to do is in 1 year. So our time is going to be equal to 1. So let's set this up. So y equals, the starting amount is y sub 0. So we're starting with $8,500. We're going to do 1 plus. Remember, we need to do this decimal as a this percent as a decimal. So we're going to take our decimal point, which is after the 4 technically, move it over twice. So we're going to have 0.04 over n is 1 because we're doing it yearly. We're compounding once a year. And then we're going to do 1 times our t, which is 1 again. Okay, so we're just filling this stuff in. And then we're going to go into our calculator like we did before. You can use your Google calculator. In fact, let's pull it up right now. Let's clear this out. And we're going to do 8,500. Oops, that's 8,500 parentheses 1 plus 0.04 divided by 1. And then we're going to do it to the first power. So we're going to hit x to the y. Oops, that's not it. X to the y, there we go. To the first power. We're going to hit equals. So what we're going to have there is $8,840. All right, so let's plug that in there. So we should have $8,840, which is not bad, right? In 1 year, we made $340. That's not bad. All right, so let's do the same thing after 2 years. So the only difference here, right, everything is going to set up the same except for our time is going to be 2 instead of 1. So y equals, we're starting off with the same amount. We're still compounded annually, so the n's are still 1. But this time our t is 2. So the only thing that changed from the first to second is our time, because now we're leaving it in for 2 years. All right, so if we go back to here, 8,500 parentheses 1 plus 0.04, oops, 0.04 divided by 1, right, because we're compounding annually. And then this time we're doing to the second power, right? 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, and now we have $9,193. 9,193 and 60 cents. 193. Okay, so in 2 years, the first year we made $340. This time we made a little bit more than that because we're using this one to calculate the new interest. All right, so this is just basically understanding the mechanics, being able to use your calculator, plugging in the correct numbers into the proper variables. Now this is what I was talking about earlier. Let's compare simple and compound. So let's say Chris has 20 grand and he's investing it at 4% compounded annually. Right, Kevin is also investing $20,000 at 4%, but his is simple interest. All right, so simple interest, again, simple interest equals PRT. So P is the primary, how much you're starting with, 20,000 at 4%, so 0.04. And then the time, oh, we didn't put the time in, so we're gonna compare this over 3 years. Okay, so the time for the first one will be 1. All right, let's go ahead and calculate this. So let's do the simple interest. Okay, so Kevin's P, his principal, was 20,000, just like Chris's, times the rate, 0.04, and then times 1 year. So he's gonna make $800, which is not too bad, right? So Kevin earns $800 just in interest. All right? So the thing with Kevin's interest, though, is that it's not going to change per year. So every year, he's just going to make the same amount. He's going to make $800 a year. So we can even calculate this, all right? So, oops. in year 2 for Kevin, right? He still started with $20,000. He's still getting 4%. This time it's over 2 years, and look at that, he's got $1,600, right? So we said the amount doesn't change, right? He made $800 again this year. Guess what? If we did it again, he's gonna make $800 in the 3rd year. So it's still not bad. I mean, it's steady gains. So if we add $800 to $1,600, we get $2,400. It's not bad. He's making money. It's not like he's not making money. He's definitely earning some money here. All right, but let's look at Chris's one when it's compounded annually. All right, so we have 20,000, 4% compounded annually. It's setting up pretty much like the ones we did before. All right, so let's see what happens after 1 year, after 2 years, after 3 years. So let's calculate this here. So we said 20,000. We're gonna do 1 plus 0.04 is the rate. Annually means we're doing it once per year. And then we're raising it to the 1 because we did it for 1 year. Okay, so let's hit the equal sign. So he has $28,000. Does that seem... Oh, I messed up. So 2,000, 20,000, 1 plus 0.04, right? I put 0.4. And then to the first power. Okay, $20,800. $20,800. Actually, we're seeing how much he made more, right? So if he has $20,800 and he started with $20,000, then he actually made $800. So oddly enough, well, maybe not oddly enough, but in the first year, Chris and Kevin made the same amount of interest. So they did the same. Pretty good. Now let's see what happens to Chris's one after the 2nd year using compounded. Oops. So we have the same 20,000 that they invested in the beginning. 1 plus 0.04 divided by 1. This time we're going to do it to the 2nd power, right? Because it's the 2nd year. And this time he has $21,632, which is a growth of $1,632, right? Because he started with 20,000. All right, so you notice the first year it grew $800. The 2nd year it grew a little bit more, right? So it grew by $832. So he's got a little bit extra money. He's got a little bit more than Kevin did. Let's do the same calculation this time for 3 years. So 20,000, 1 plus 0.04 divided by 1 to the, this time we're doing it 3 years. So we end up with 22497.28. 22947.38. Oh, sorry, 497.28. Oh my gosh, I messed that all the way up. So let's go back. So that Chris earned $2,497.28. All right, so this whole thing really is just to show you guys how much more money compound interest makes you than simple interest does. So if we compare these two values at this point, Chris has earned $97.28 more than Kevin earns using simple interest. So it's not a huge amount usually, but it is a noticeable amount. So if you have the choice of choosing simple interest versus compound interest, you want to take the compound interest because you're getting a little bit more, if not a sizable amount more, depending on how much you invested and what your rate is overall. All right, so that's pretty much it. Let it sink in. You guys will be working with these tables and calculating compound interest. Just like the examples, make sure you have your notes taken down. Any questions that you have, please bring them to class next time, and then I'll make sure that we can get those questions straightened out and you can do your work. All right, good job.